Hello everyone, thank you for joining today's webinar, StayNTouch Product Enhancements, version 5.43. Choose weekend days, select all open bills from AR, and more, presented by StayNTouch Project Manager, Britt DeRoy. I'm your host, Erin Fisher, the content writer here at StayNTouch. Today's presentation will cover how you can get the most out of the StayNTouch Cloud PMS version 5.43 product release. In this webinar, we will identify the ability to apply additional guest card fields, explain how to set your own weekend days, which includes how weekend days values now reflect in availability, item inventory, groups, and allotment screens, as well as how weekend days values now reflect in the rate manager, and how weekend days values now reflect on the forecast report and forecast group guests and groups report, as well as the new how the on Saturday, on Sunday label has changed to on weekends. Next, we'll discuss how to select all open bills from accounts receivable, illustrate the financial transaction summary report added to scheduled reports, demonstrate the financial transactions adjustment report available in PDF format, identify the reservation status field added to the guest balance report, show transaction details added to the financial transaction data space for custom exports, and highlight changes to guest mobility design setup. We will have a short Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation, and we will answer them in the order they are received at the end. And that's all I have right now. Britt, I'm going to hand the presentation over to you.
Thank you, Erin. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Apologies, it seems like I do have to quit and reopen, so I'm going to do that and share my screen shortly.
No worries.
All right, sharing my screen.
Okay.
Could you please invite me, Erin? I can't see the toggle. Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, perfect. So let's get started. So what we have added to the enhancements for this release is additional guest fields, guest card fields, which you will be able to set up from your menu on the left-hand side, settings and settings again. And from here, you'll be able to move into cards, and from here, you'll be able to move into guest card fields. So on the left-hand side, you'll find the parameters that you'll be able to set up, as you can see here. And then when I scroll up, you'll find the visible toggle and the mandatory toggle. And you'll be able to activate the guest card field by switching the visible toggle to active. And if you'd like to set this particular parameter as mandatory, you would set up this toggle here and activate it here for it to be mandatory. And mandatory guest card fields will show with the red asterisk. However, they will not be forced to be added by the user. They do need to fill them out, but it would not definitely not be a parameter for them not to be able to move forward if it's not added. And as Erin mentioned in the introduction, we have now introduced the ability to select weekend days from hotel details. From here under hotel and staff, under hotel details, we'll find the weekend days identified here. So as you can see in my demo property, I have Saturday and Sunday set up as weekend days. And if you would like to set different days as weekend days, you'll be able to identify us by logging a ticket with our support team, and we'll be able to set that up for you. And these weekend days will be reflected in the availability screen from our menu on the left-hand side, dashboard, and then on the right-hand side here, we'll find the weekend days shown in blue. When we would move into item inventory again, we'll find these weekend days shown and highlighted again. And that would also be shown similarly for groups and allotments. So this is where you'll find those changes. Additionally, in the rate manager from your menu, revenue manager, and then rate manager, you'll find the weekend days shown separately as well. So let's say it doesn't matter which date range I'm going to select, as long as it has a weekend. So you'll find these 2 days are the weekend days, and therefore they're grayed out a bit. So that would identify that these are the weekend days set up for your property. These weekend days values will also be reflected on your forecast report. And I'm just going to pull up the release notes, so we'll have a look here. You'll find that these days would be identified and grayed out. And as you can see in the release notes, Friday and Saturday would be the actual weekend days for this example. And you'll find in the forecast guest in groups this particular setup as well. So these weekend days would be grayed out, identifying to you that these are the days that are set up as weekend days. All right, moving back into the PMS, when we move into our menu and then settings and settings again, these weekend days would also be reflected under Zest and then checkout, because normally we had weekdays and weekends, which would be the static Saturday and Sunday, but depending on what has been configured in hotel and staff and then hotel details, these weekend days would be the days that you have set up to be the weekend days in the PMS. All right, moving on to the next topic, which is all open bills can now be selected in an accounts receivable account. These will be found under revenue management, company and travel agent card. And from here, let's say that I'm looking for a company, let's say StayNTouch, and it has an accounts receivable number, so I can open up the AR transactions. And this new toggle is what we have introduced. I'll be able to select all open bills, 2 bills in total for this particular AR account. And as you can see, whenever I would select the toggle here, I'll be able to pay for any outstanding charges. So when I move into here, then I'll be able to pay selected. This would only happen if I have enough credit set up on the AR account. And the credit would then be used to absorb any open bills, meaning that if I have a credit of, let's say, $375, but I have open bills of $175, I'll be able to allocate that payment, meaning that I would still have $200 left in credit. So that would also be shown that way. I'm moving back into the release notes to show you enhancements made on reports. As you can see, we've now added the financial transaction summary to the scheduled report. So if you move from your menu and then report, schedule a report or export, you'll find this report under the reports that you can schedule to be delivered automatically to you through different delivery methods, such as an SFTP server, Google Drive, Dropbox account, or email. And when we would scroll down, we'll find that financial transactions adjustment reports is also now available in PDF format. So if you would select this report, again, from your menu, and then reports, you'll find that under file format, it's now available in PDF. We've included a reservation status field to the guest balance report. So again, if you would find this report under your menu and then reports, you'll find reservation status, but only if under the parameter guest and account all are selected. And under this reservation status, you'll be able to select the reservation status that you'd like to include, such as checked in, checked out, no show or cancel, or any of the parameters that you would find. So once these are selected, you'll be able to pull this from the report, but indeed only if a guest account are all selected. We have also added the reservation status to be sorted by. So if you would then pull the report, you'll be able to sort by reservation status as well. We've additionally added transaction details in the financial data space. So when you are compiling your own reports or exports from report, schedule a report or export, in the custom exports module, you'll find under the financial transaction data space, as you can see here, that we have now included transaction details. And these details would look similar to what you'll find in the release notes here. The item that has been posted, and then the transaction date and time if included in the export. For the last enhancement, I'm moving back into the PMS. I'm moving into our menu, settings, and settings again. And from here, I'm moving into Zest. And under guest mobility design setup, you'll find enhancements on the actual setup of the themes, allowing you to see where these colors would actually be used. So we've introduced ready for checkout, start please. So identifying to you, so if you would change these colors, where these would be, where this would actually impact your setup. And when you would scroll down, you'll find that these would be introduced in later in other themes as well. So the checkout would identify, okay, checkout now, okay, that is this particular color. Checkout later is this particular color. So we made it a little bit easier for you to see where these colors would actually be changed. And if you'd like to have a full explanation of the mobility design template setup, we have an article which is referenced in the release notes on our help desk. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you, Britt. Now I'll turn over the floor for questions. Remember, you can submit questions through the question box in the middle of the control panel. So let me check on that. I don't see any questions right now. I'll give everyone a few seconds to enter those. All right, since there are no more questions, I'd like to take to the floor to offer some final thoughts. Okay, so in this webinar, we identified the ability to apply additional guest card fields, explained how to set your own weekend days, illustrated how weekend days values now reflect on availability, item inventory groups, and allotment screens, showed how weekend days values now reflect in rate management, demonstrated how weekend days values now reflect on the forecast report and forecast guests and groups report, showed how the on Saturday, Sunday label has changed to on weekends, discussed how to select all open bills from accounts receivable, illustrated the financial transaction summary report added to scheduled reports, demonstrated the financial transactions adjustment report available in PDF format, identified the reservation status field added to the guest balance report, showed transaction details added to the financial transaction data space for custom exports, and finally, we highlighted changes to guest mobility design setup. With that, I'd like to conclude our presentation. Thank you all for coming, and if you have any additional questions, feel free to email me at erin.fisher@StayNTouch.com. Thanks again.